Welcome to the UW Fieldhouse, home of the Wisconsin Badgers. This is Chuck Scruggs, the man with the plugs, digging the scene with the wrecking machine. Can you dig me? Now come on in now, little children, and join me. Ain't nothing shaking but the leaves on the trees. They wouldn't be shaking if it wasn't for the breeze. Ain't nothing cooking but the beans in the pot. They wouldn't be cooking if the water wasn't hot. We're gonna go get John out of the barn and go get Lucy to do the Watusi. Hello there, sports fan. This is Chuck Billings, your host for African American athletes and athletes of color, past, present, and future, how they impact our society. First, let me begin with my own history very briefly. How would I become interested in this topic and in hosting a show like this? Merely because of my own experiences. Growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I've heard of Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, everybody's hero in my neighborhood. When I grow up, I want to be like Joe Louis. My dad wanted me to be a little Joe Louis. Everybody who was athletic or who looked like he could take a punch or throw a punch was probably thought of as a potential Joe Louis. In the neighborhood, there was a gentleman by the name of Jenks Martin, who was built like iron. He was 3 years my senior. Jenks, everybody looked up to him, and they just knew that he was our Joe Louis. Time would go on. Jenks became a great athlete in all sports, and as far as boxing, Jenks was in the corner with Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the 1976 Olympic middleweight boxing champion and later middleweight champion of the world.
You start a fight off, you take step by step. You start off with the jab. You might do that for 2 or 3 weeks, nothing but a jab. He be sore, the guy's sore. You're gonna tell whether he's gonna be a fighter if he's gonna stay. And then you come back with the right hand. You know, let him throw them with the right hand, right hand, right hand. Let him throw those for a while. Then you change your punches. You say uppercut, uppercut. Uppercut starts at the navel, comes up. Uppercuts mean if it hits you here, it's gonna hit your chin. Okay. And the dangerous punches in boxing are your left hooks and your uppercuts. When I knew Ray was a real fighter, I used to take him around to visit all these different schools and churches and everything. And this lady walked up to Ray and she said, "Your breath smell like baby milk." In other words, what she was trying to say is, you look too young to fight, look like a fighter. And I thought that was the hard, worst thing I'd ever heard in my life. She said, "Your breath smell like baby milk." I had never heard that before. And she said it to him. And he smiled and giggled. He looked back at me. I looked at him. I didn't know what to say. And I said, "Well, we got something here." And that's when I knew that Ray Leonard had that, I don't know how would you describe it. He had this draw and card about himself. Once you see him, you would like to see him again. Ray put some people in some seats that had never been to fights before. He had a lot of people that had never seen a fight before, but they met him and they would come to the fights. Take for instance when we fought Johnny Gant locally. You're talking 78. And he filled up the Capitol Center and he filled up the DC Armory. 10,000 one spot, 19,000 another spot. They had to take a closed circuit back then. That's unheard of. Now the kids don't know what that is. But it was closed circuit from the Capitol Center to DC Armory, and they sold out both places. The first fight, Montreal, 1980. That fight was a real close fight. I thought it was closer than that, but there was so much stuff happened before that. It's ironic that when Sugar Ray Leonard was there as an amateur fighting in the Olympics, everybody cheered him. When he went back to Montreal fighting for dollars, everybody booed him. There's a complete change around. So I didn't find that too amusing, so I said, let's just train hard and get ready for the fight. And the fight was all set up really against Ray. They didn't want Ray to win. They wanted Duran to win from Panama. He caught Ray with a pretty good shot in the second round a right hand, and kind of staggered Ray. And from then on, Ray stayed a distance, and then Duran got pretty close in the middle rounds, which around the 7th or 8th round. And Duran stayed right in there. Well, see, you had two of the best fighters in the world in the ring at one time, and it's kind of hard to judge those when it's like that. We knew that going into the fight. The final round, Duran just walked around, threw his hands up, and after the round was over, threw his hands up, and then he hit Ray in the back on the way past him. And which I thought, you know, unsportsmanlike, and nasty words, which I would never use. And it just had bad tone to it. But the second fight, let me tell you about the second fight. The second fight is when I said, they did all this in Montreal. It took all the play away from him and gave it to Duran. I said, now, his real name is Ray Charles Leonard. Okay, I got Ray Charles to sing the national anthem. And Ray Charles sang that national anthem. When that anthem was over, I said, we got this one. I know we got this one. That's when Ray started running all over the ring. He started boxing and moving and sticking him and move all over the place. He beat him like he owned him. And then that's when Duran said, no mas. He had enough. But I also, before the fight, I had kind of watched Duran the way he was eating. He eats steaks with his hand. He take that steak and put it in his mouth and eat it too fast, you know. I said, geez, this guy's eating all this fast. And during the fight, I said, Ray, go to his body. Go to his body. As soon as he started hitting him in the body, that's when Duran said, no mas. He didn't just quit. He got hurt. He was hurt.
They say the devil's playground is an idle mind.
Hi there, I'm Angel, and I pledge to help save the children by vigorously promoting Wisconsin's suicide prevention strategies. You don't have to be a Superman or even a super bear to remember to keep your handguns on lockdown, out of the path and reach of your children. Handgun owners, bear down on your compliance with the Wisconsin CAP law. CAP, that's Child Access Prevention. Remember it.
You don't want to get left behind. The weapons of peace knocking at your door.
In 2007, more than 700 people in Wisconsin lost their lives to suicide, higher than the national average. There is reason for hope. Depression, the #1 cause of suicide, is treatable. HOPES, a local organization run by survivors of suicide, asks all of us to look closer and listen harder. Learn what to look for at www.lookcloserlistenharder.org, because the warning signs of suicide are rarely obvious.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox under the bed. Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place.
If you store your guns properly.
So not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
Or scary news reports.
I won't have to hold someone's hand and shout you're gonna make it.
And I won't have to tell my kids this isn't a drill.
Please.
Please.
Please. Please.
Please.
Do it for us.
For us. Do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Back to Joe Louis, the impact that he had on our society in Cincinnati, Ohio, in my neighborhood. When Joe Louis fought, we all gathered around, listening to the radios, blasting out from different windows from home to home. And when Joe Louis won, we won. The Brown Bomber. As we initiate our program, we're going to go into more detail on the Brown Bomber. We have some profiles on Joe Louis from Black History in America. Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, was one of America's greatest heavyweight boxers. He held the heavyweight championship longer than any other champion, scoring 43 knockouts in his first 23 professional bouts. His professional record was 65-3-0 with 51 knockouts. Joe Louis was inducted into the Ring Boxing Hall of Fame in 1954 and the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990. Joe Louis Barrow was born on May 13, 1914 in Alabama, the seventh of 8 children, a grandson of slaves. His mother, Lily, was a hard-working religious woman. Born into a poor family, Joe Louis's mother felt the only way her son could escape poverty was through music. She brought him a violin and sent him off daily to lessons. On his way there, young Joe would pass by a boxing gym. In no time, he was working out at the gym, training for a boxing career. Joe Louis Barrow, shortening his name to Joe Louis so that his mother wouldn't find out he was boxing.
You don't want to get left behind. The weapons of peace knocking at your door.